So the team over at Disney thought it'd be a good idea, after a full decade, to dust the cobwebs off of Indiana Jones' signature hat and whip and give him one last adventure for the road. If nothing else, this was to make up for their lackluster feature, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which came out way back in 2008. So I'm not gonna lie to you, Dial of Destiny actually looked pretty good in the trailer. I thought the visuals looked solid and the aesthetic matched the classic Indiana Jones movies from the past. Mads Miklesson as the villain was also a draw to the movie, since I'm a big fan of his work. Sadly, everything listed above was not enough to stop this from being a cookie cutter, cliched, and extremely bland final chapter for an old hero. Today we'll be taking a look at why Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny failed so miserably and what exactly went wrong. So perhaps one of the biggest gripes I had with the movie was the characters, which, if you ask anybody, is pretty important for pretty much any type of entertainment medium. Our main protagonist, one of the most iconic characters in cinema history, has been written to be an old, harmless man who's in dire need of saving by sidekicks. Now yes, I get that he actually is old, and in the timeline, it is realistic in the sense that he wouldn't be able to do the things he normally would be able to as an older man. But his mind is still sharp, and there were ways that they could have made it so that he's not completely useless to the plot. Throughout the movie, they seem to shine a huge spotlight on the fact that he's old and not what he used to be. I get making it a topic of comedy or humor, but it just doesn't work. I probably feel so strongly about this fact because of his sidekicks. Good God, his sidekicks are something else. We have Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Ethan Isidore, excuse me if I massacred that, as Indy's sidekicks. Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays Helena, Indy's goddaughter. She's an unlikable and extremely selfish thief that seemingly has no flaws. She's a master at speech, history, vehicle handling, architecture, scuba diving, you name it, and this 30-year-old knows exactly how to do it. With this Mary Sue approach to the character, she spends a good part of the movie saving Indiana Jones from danger or other predicaments. It comes across as annoying and seems to be such a cop-out to the overall plot. Don't get me wrong, skilled and strong characters are great, but Helena had no business having such a resume as such a young character. The second sidekick is a child named Teddy. He too is a master at pickpocketing, vehicles, and apparently operating a plane without actually having flown one. Yes, that's actually in the movie. Both of them seem to have barely any flaws, considering one of them is a child and the other is in her 30s at most. Not to mention that both of their reactions to danger or seeing the incredible or lack thereof is crazy. In the latter half of the movie, there's some insane, mind-bending things going on that any sane person would completely be questioning everything and be absolutely shocked if nothing else. But not these two though. Neither of them seem to have any kind of reaction to experiencing things that are literally out of this world or life-threatening danger in their faces. This all falls under the same idea that the characters are unbelievably perfect, which only helps to shed more light on the fact that Indiana Jones, the actual human in this movie, is an inept hero among the others. If there's one positive I could say from everything that I just listed, is that they do something completely crazy with the end. Of course, I'm not going to spoil it, but they do take creative liberties and sort of go into the interdimensional, which is something that I was not expecting. Antonio Banderas shows up for a little bit of the movie, and with the few lines he speaks, I wished he was Indy's sidekick instead of the two that we got. Now, another big problem I had with the movie was the villain. Mads Miklesson is an incredible actor with a long resume of villainous roles. However, they totally missed the mark and misuse his abilities with a dry, bland character who's totally missing that intimidation factor that every single villain should have. He seems to be lost in the second half of the movie, other than telling his henchmen what to do. He has the look of a villain, but he's missing that spice to be memorable. And with such a high caliber actor like Mads Miklesson, it's a shame to see that they wrote him just like any other cliched villain that we see in so many action movies today. It just wasn't memorable. This is a perfect segue to the biggest problem with The Dial of Destiny, the fact that it is anything but memorable. You could run through this same exact plot with a different set of actors, maybe in a different pick of scenery, and it would play out exactly the same way. The problems are in its writing and its execution. It checks off every overdone plot point and trope without adding anything original, and thus we're left with a mildly entertaining blockbuster that we will have forgotten about in a month. We won't revisit it, and we'll probably forget it even existed a year from now. I wanted to like this movie, but it just doesn't add anything original, and doesn't even have 10% of what made the original Indiana Jones movies classics. I will, however, applaud that the action sequences were pretty good overall, and the de-aging technology that they have at the beginning of the movie is some of the best I've seen, and I'm glad that they didn't overdo it, but it looks really good. But other than that, everything I said before this point still stands. But with all that being said, let me know what you thought of the movie below. Please be sure to subscribe for more like this. All the support is appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next video.